What's good with YouTube? You already know Big Flocka with a convict's perspective. I'm on smash, dash, and slide on through that little bit of energy. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, and do all those things to help support the channel. And hit that bell notification for future fire content. Man, I gotta shave. Anyway, so check this out, man. As you guys can tell, man, I'm not doing a reaction. I'm not doing a response. I'm elaborating some information on a video that Gunnerz Collective did. Was Westside Mob the first Norteño hood greenlit? A good video. I'm doing this video right now because there's some information that I have in the past not really reacted to and responded to or addressed when people have asked me certain questions about, hoods that were greenlit, and there's a reason why. But I felt at this time I might as well tell the story, right? And so there's a lot of things that happened in the 90s in San Jose and 2000s that nobody knows about. And, Gunner's video was good. It was accurate on the account of the mob, right? But I'm going to say this, and this is very a respectful disclaimer towards him. There's certain things that were going on out there that were regiment business that even the hoods out there in San Jose did, even certain regiment members may not know. So he would have never been privileged to the information that I'm about to reveal. Westside Mob, to my knowledge, was the first hood that was put out there in the streets of San Jose as far as being greenlit. But there is numerous incidents that happened, and one where a green light was put that nobody knows about. Unless you were in the know and involved, you would know. So he's right on this video and wrong at the same time, and he's only wrong because he wouldn't have been privileged to that information. It's like if you're a carnal from Sacramento, a carnal from the Visa, a regiment member from Visa, whatever area, you're not going to be given certain privileged information that is in regard to a regiment that's in a whole different area like San Jose, because that would be a breach of security. Therefore, they would not be privileged to this information. There's stuff that happens within regiments that are never put out there, that stay within the regiment, okay? That's not told when people get to San Quentin or DVI or Delano. It's stuff that's kept under wraps. And I'm going to be going into that right now. And, see, red on red was an issue in San Jose for a long time. And that's why the red on red policy was enforced in the 90s. They came out due to a lot of drive-by shootings that were occurring. Homeboys were coming in for red on red murders and whatnot, right? During 96, 97, when I was in the county jail, Capitol Park was under investigation for doing drive-bys out there in San Jose, shooting at homeboys. I was used as a reference by somebody from Capitol Park at that time. The homeboy Chuco, Antonio again, got at me. He goes, "You were used as a reference. What can you say about Capitol Park and about this hood?" And this homeboy, I really didn't have much intel to give. I've always gotten along with Capitol Park. So it was positive, but they were putting a stop to the red on red at that time. Now, there was never a green light put on Capitol Park. They were checked, and they were told that if anything was to continue, there would be issues. Now, fast track. I get out the shoe. I'm working with the regiment. We're plugged in. We're working with Goose. Another crew's working with Skip, right? We get directives from Goose to go have a sit-down with basically BMLs and Bonmas. Now, I've discussed this before. Everybody knows this is a true incident. This happened around 2001. We met at TGI Fridays. Bonmas on one side had Nacho and Shorteño, who I've known Shorteño for a long time. He was there when I put hands on Chemo from VST. Him and actually Payaso, Justin Cavagna from VSJ were both there. And this is when fucking Payaso fucking threw the pool stick on the table. It bounced off and almost hit the Sureños. And Dreamer from SSP, Chemo, and a couple other Sureños were there. And they looked and I went, "What?" And Chemo stood up. So I ran up there and I beat the brakes off of Chemo. I knocked his tooth out of his mouth. And when I knocked his tooth out of his mouth, I remember they grabbed his tooth, the Sureños, to save the tooth for him and shit, man. It was little high school shit, basically, juvenile shit, but it was funny back then. So Shorteño knew me. And anybody that knows Shorteño knows that his sisters are Sureñas, right? Now, we came and picked up Philo from Mas Locals. Philo was a good dude. Is a good dude. I think he may be getting out pretty soon from what I heard. And he was going to be the spokesperson for Mas Locals. And so whatever bullshit was going on, the homeboy that I came with, he was doing mainly the talking, right? I was there on behalf of the NF as well. But I was more providing security, making sure nobody got out of line, making sure that Philo was comfortable, because we had different people from different areas. Black Steve from 12th Street was there as well. And the arrangement came that you'd have one person from Bonmas and one person from Mas Locals that would communicate with each other. And that was a dead issue. You know what I'm saying? Now, the other issue Now, someone brought this up to me about 6 months ago when they were buzzing a little bit. They got at me on fucking an email. You don't know homeboys. You don't know my hood. You know what I mean? Then he told me why he was pissed off about when I told Jack something. He got drunk and remembered it. And this is a true story as well. This has to do with Chongo. Now, there was a time period when people don't know this, but Horseshoe, a lot of homeboys from Horseshoe were ready to back up Chongo over what the NF did to him when they shot him. They were ready to rock with him. You know what I'm saying? When they almost killed him. And but Lancho, Dragon didn't have no pull at the time. Sammy Luna, he didn't have any say so at that time. He was actually in question mark up in High Desert. I think he went to the Bay at that time, but he was under investigation for a minute. But what's his name? Lancho, of course, was put up basically security on fucking Jack Ochoa, and that was for gain. Now Jack Ochoa was a good dude, man. Money maker, solid. I'm not going to talk about his activities. If you're from San Jose, you know what he got arrested with, and you know who he was plugged in with. Okay, I'll leave it at that. So Jack shows up. Black Steve from 12th Street brings him. I've been given directives to get at him. And see, this is where I'm going to do an honest disclaimer. I was young in my career. I thought I was the role I was playing was an important position. And so I kind of played up to that position and let it get to my head when I got at homeboy. And I got at him a little bit too harsh. In fact, everything I said to him was what I was told, but I didn't have to go about it the way I did. But because I was from a small city and we were trying to reestablish things in San Jose, I had to set the president that, look, man, we're not taking shit from nobody. And so basically I told him that, you've been rocking with David Lacon Gonzalez and Chongo and woo. They're new flowers. You know what I'm saying? If you're rocking with them, you're rocking with new flowers. If this continues, we're going to fucking green light your whole fucking hood. I told him I'll have your whole hood green light lit. And he didn't really say nothing. He didn't talk back because he knew that there's nothing he could do because who sent me to get at him was as high as you can get. You know what I'm saying? But it was me letting it go to my head the way I got at him. Jack's actually cool ass motherfucker. It's really the only time I really met him. But through the years, I've known people that have dealt with him. And he's a good dude, man. You know what I'm saying? And I felt bad later on that I let things get to my head that I had to really come at him like I was some super high-powered John Gotti, but I keep it 100. So that issue was resolved. Okay, no green lights came of it, but Horseshoe was close. Horseshoe was close over that incident, and it was almost like a New Flowers versus the NF. It looked like that because there was rumors about a fucking a limo shop that was on called Wine and Roses. All kinds of stuff was talked about regarding the New Flowers at that time. And there was people who they had ties to certain things. And it wasn't that they were New Flowers. It was that homeboys from the Horseshoe were backing up their homeboy. They were going to rock with them. They did not care what repercussions came from it until we decided to get at them. Now, fast track. This is where we're going to go into the incident where the green light was implemented. Now, this green light, though, was not put out there on the streets to the streets. And there's a reason why, and you'll understand it once I explain it. Around 2006, there was a statement made by someone from Palmas. Fuck Norte, this is Palmas. And this is when they were putting in a lot of work, and there's a few issues out there. So, based upon that, they had to get together to put a green light on the hood, on Palmas. Not everybody was supposed to know about this. Even those that had crews were not supposed to tell their crew members. It was instructed for people to get intel out there about what was going on. What was going on, there was a green light that was being put on Palmas at that time, and that certain targets were going to get hit that they thought that were renegades that were going against the grain. And they were not going to make it look like it was the NF, that a green light came from them. This was supposed to be a clandestine type of operation, right? But there was one homeboy, and they weren't even giving him information, right? But they did get at him one time about something saying, you better check your fucking homeboys. That was Laughing Boy from Palmas. And Laughing Boy's a good, solid dude, man. Every time there was an incident, I called that dude up. I was at the 49er Inn. There were some issues going on. The Gunnerz called me up. I said, hey, bro, I need you to come with me. Bam, Laughing Boy showed up. You know what I'm saying? Good dude. And I think that he kind of knew there was something in the works because he may have been told something by his boy that was also with the regiment that was privileged to the same information. And maybe that's why the tune was changed. But there's a reason why Palmas was really active on the streets at that time, if you guys get what I'm saying, right? Now, the reason why they weren't going to put a green light to the streets out there on Palmas at that time was because of the influence and history that Palmas had. And, like the Blancos and whatnot. They're one of the oldest fucking hoods out there in San Jose with generations after generations. If they impose a green light, You did not want to create a whole other bulldog situation. And that was the whole focal point of not bringing heat or attention to the issue. Because people, Bonmas is such a big hood that it's hard not to have family members that are from Bonmas or fucking, old lady that has their brother-in-law or whatnot. They're that big of a hood. When you think of two of the biggest hoods in San Jose, you think of Horseshoe and Bonmas off top, right? And the oldest. So it would have did no value to the push to sit there and put a green light on fucking Bonmas for the streets. Now, people may ask, well, why was it done with the West Side Mob? I'll tell you two reasons why. One, a person who started taking over the streets of San Jose was a dude named Wino Ramirez. Whereas before there was 7 C's out there in the streets. Now you only have one, and then another one that was in the South County, excuse me. So he was put in a position to where he had the authority jurisdiction, and the one that was in South County was a young C that got pulled on the streets. Wasn't going to try to go against the grain with him. You know what I'm saying? He was going to let him do whatever he did, but he was going to focus on his area. So, of course, Wino also tried to put a green light on Jack Ochoa as well for not plugging in with dope. So there was a whole lot of issues going on. You know what I'm saying? And he dealt with that. And see, there was talks about greenlighting Westside Mob for about 9 months, right, before this. And the reason why they were going to go about it was, of course, for the red on red, right? But they wanted to set a precedent for all the other hoods to see. We're not tolerating it from any of these hoods. We'll put a green light on anybody, right? That's why that green light was going to be put. Why did Wino do it later on? I think he wanted to be that dude, and that's where he put the green light for certain people. They had to have this many surveillance whacked on the streets and clean up the streets, and that was never really supposed to be put out there like that because it brought attention up on the NF. There was an indictment, and then later on he did what he did against the same people he put the green light on. So that was an interesting case. Now, that's the difference. So Palmas was greenlit with basically a 180, which is a code for pick a target, right? Once full 60 180 means we're about to do this shit, pick a target. And certain targets were fucking put out there. And certain crews were going to probably deal with these targets, but it was going to be on the go of the moment. It wasn't ever going to be put out there and then fucking dealt with because there's too much room for breach of security. It would have been last second, we're going to go get this dude. I think there was about 2 or 3 targets that were being targeted at that time from Bonmas. I was privileged to this information for the reasons that I'm not going to speak upon. But I was kind of in the know of this whole situation. The green light really got squashed around December. That's when everything pretty much got red lighted. Everything, they did not even know at the time that they were fucking greenlit. Okay, but later on they were got at through their homeboy and was told that, look, your hood was basically going to be greenlit at that time. So they were greenlit without it being enforced on the streets. It was never going to be enforced on the streets. But just like the situation with the mob cleaned up their situation. Bonmas cleaned up their situation. Now, if there's any other hoods out there that have ever had a green light in any other areas, I don't know of. There's been hoods that have been in trouble for red on red. But to my knowledge, the only area that was ever greenlit was basically the Bulldogs. And that's when, at that time, people used to have cars in prison. I remember cars. People had the Sano car, Tulare County. I remember that shit when I first hit the system. It changed where you couldn't have cars anymore because it was considered set tripping. So, yeah, this is what had occurred at that time. And see, Gunner's video was good. He just wouldn't have been privileged to this information. You know what I mean? He could have been a Cat 2C over there. He still wouldn't have been privileged to this information because it didn't pertain to his area. And just to speak upon it would be a breach of security. That's why if you're ever operating in a regiment, you never discuss any regiment business outside of your channel. Unless there's a huge investigation that involves your regiment to where your regiment commander is under investigation, then you got to do what you got to do. With the minimal, putting the minimal information because it's not everybody's business. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, my phone's been going off all day. Good video though. But and this ain't a reaction. This ain't me trying to sit there and say that he's wrong because he's right and he's wrong at the same time. And he's right because he had the information that was provided to the streets. That's the only information that's really been put out there on this issue regarding San Jose at that time. He's only wrong because he doesn't know. And there's people from San Jose, most people from San Jose don't even know how serious this got at that time, that there was a green light given. You know, and only a select few, Gunnerz and those that were with the regiment were going to be told. See, not everybody was told within the regiment at that time. You know what I'm saying? But this was an issue. Just like there was the issue with Sajo Grande, right? When one of theirs had to get DP'd and shit. So, bam, it was dealt with. And one of the hermanos, there was a bro there that just got pulled. He was young, right? He tried to say enough's enough and tried to stop it. Two Cardinals got pissed off, said this is enough, and we say it's enough, and they smashed on him. That was just setting an example out in the streets. So there was a lot of things going on where people were setting examples to let people know that the NF was in charge. You know what I'm saying? I was either involved or part of all these issues that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, I'm going to want to speak on it when I hear people talk about a time era when I was out there active, functioning, and had some type of jurisdiction in certain areas at that time. No one could discredit that. Those are facts. But there was a lot of us out there that had a lot of pull as far as Bernales and a few NF associates, man, that were very few had that type of rapport or were entitled to that type of information. Like I said, it was on a need to know basis. And at that time, I was on a need to know basis on certain things, especially with the amount of responsibility that I had. And I'm glad though how everything turned out that time, because that could have turned out into a very serious issue, man. And I questioned it. It's just like there's another thing I've never talked about. Robert Rios, who passed away, Rabbit. He was doing a lot of community outreach on the streets. We were talking about killing him out there on the streets back then, right? But the question was raised like this, and it was like, we kill this dude, it's going to bring nothing but attention from law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? If we can get the information out there for someone else to deal with them without it coming back on us, we'll do it. But it's not worth the attention. And that's the same thing with Palmas that everybody was looking at. It was going to have a negative attention, not only from the community, because no one, at that time, they weren't going to care about some gangbangers getting hit, but the DA was going to use that as, a catalyst to do a further investigation. Not just that, right? It could potentially push a lot of people away. Man, look, they greenlit fucking Palmas. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to work. It's going to make the NF look like bullies. So they were crafty about how they dealt with things. Same thing, like I said, with Rabbit. We kill him, right? All hell's going to break loose because this dude's been trying to fucking stop the gang violence. He's been trying to do this and do that. We kill him. It's going to bring nothing but negative attention. It's going to prove everything that they're saying about us is to be true. So when we had that discussion, there was only about 5 of us that had that discussion. And I think there was only one person that wanted to call for that to happen. Because this didn't come from the top. They had other people that they wanted fucking taken out that time. You know what I'm saying? Which was they wanted Caja for a minute. They wanted Huicho. Who else did they want at that time? There was one other person, man, but they weren't from San Jose area. Anyways, it'll come to me. So this is the video, man. Like I said, man, no disrespect towards Gunnerz video. It was a good video. I'm just elaborating a little bit further. With that said, I'm gone.